Hello there, back again for another commentary for Smash. Yay! I know you've been waiting on tenterhooks for another commentary video. It's what the fans demanded, so that's what is happening. Right, episode 3. Just gonna quickly start off by saying that this is not my favourite episode. I'll hit play and I'll explain why as we go. Play. I think the thing is, the sort of thought that I had for Smashed, the way of pacing it is sort of similar to the one I always sort of referenced and compared it to was From Dusk Till Dawn, the Quentin Tarantino Robert Rodriguez collaboration, which I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it's a fantastic film. The first half is very much one type of film, one genre, and the second half is incredibly different. Also, the second half isn't as good. The second half's sort of like a horror genre, and the fact that you've taken sort of 40 minutes to an hour to get to know these characters and stuff, and get to grips with their relationships, it made the horror aspect of it feel much more real. You actually cared about what was going on. Titanic, another example. You know, most of the film is about this little romance that's going on between these two characters, and then this terrible thing happens. Yeah, I just compared Smashed to Titanic. Wow. Almost as massive an ego as James Cameron. Right, let's just get on with this. Yeah, this Ginster scene. I really love this scene. I've already said about this before in a deleted scene video. This wasn't going to go in. I wrote it very heavily scripted. Everyone had precise lines and everything, but we got to the day of shooting and no one had learnt them, myself included. So we just improvised it, and when it came out, we enjoyed it. It seemed good, but when it came out, it was a bit flabby. So I came back and decided to take it out. But looking at it again, using parts from separate takes, putting them together, it seemed less flabby. We could put it in. It's, yeah, condensed. And I think it's a really nice scene. It's a weird one to sort of open an episode with, but it gives a nice feel for the characters, I think. And it's one of several points that Yella speaks out against Claudia, and she's sort of the only character to do that. I thought it was a nice moment for Yella. We don't really get to explore Yella all that much, so I thought, yeah, it's very, very worth keeping that in. And we saw the house for the first time. Yay! That house was incredible. I decided that I wanted to shoot a film over the summer, and I didn't know what sort of film, and I went over to Maria's house. This is actually Maria who plays Yella's house, and they were sort of halfway through renovating it, and we went there for a barbecue, and I looked around, and I was immediately, right, handheld, zombie horror, done. And I looked at them, looked at the other cast members, and I was like, guys, know exactly what I'm doing. And they were like, yeah, so do we. And Rosanna said, Pride and Prejudice. So we weren't exactly on the same lines, but I don't think we could have asked for a better set. It's not until sort of episode 5 that we start to really look around the house, but when you do, it's perfect. And it was such, like, happy coincidence that this amazing place, this amazing creepy place, was here. We sort of found that people would actually get scared while we were shooting it, even though, you know, obviously no zombies, none of it's real, just your mates and makeup. Still got freaked out just standing in the dark. And a couple of the cast members, like, it got to be quite a bit of a problem. So I just made them go through sort of turmoil, just like, no, you have to live through it, have a horrible time, the film will be good in the end. I just had to cut a bit out because I gave a spoiler by accident. I apologise to the cast members for that. There you go. This scene with the boys inside getting changed and the girls outside just having a conversation, it's actually a really, like, decent scene looking at it. When we were filming, I remember thinking this is probably going to be cut because it just seemed so wrong, and it was because we had the two scenes separately and they were both going to have to be cut, and it was just in putting them together in little sort of snippets going back and forth, that you could sort of see how these people talk differently from these people, the sort of mirror of what's going on, and the fact that Claudia and Chicken are actually quite similar. Also, obviously, you learn a little bit about what happened with Brandon and Peg. Ooh, something about cheating, but maybe not quite. I wanted to keep that as a sort of tease throughout the film. You don't really know what exactly the reason was for why they broke up until near the end. Having all this sort of relationshipy and charactery stuff, it's not to everyone's taste, I know, but I hate horror films where, you know, people are dying before the credits and stuff. You don't care about them. You don't know anything about their character. It's either that person is a jock, that person is a nerd, or whatever. It's nice to have sort of people that you're invested in their relationships and everything. Not so that it's, like, sad if they die, but more so that it's that you care about whether or not they survive, and scary moments for them are perhaps more entertaining. They're more, you're on the edge of your seat because you don't want these people to go, or maybe you do because you don't like them. I think that's really important in a horror film. If that's missed out, then there's absolutely no point to it. That's why I love films like Saw, that concentrate on the characters. I'm talking about the first Saw here, that concentrate on the people that are in this situation. Whereas, you know, sort of slasher films, not really my cup of tea. Then again, it is some people's cup of tea, and I'm sort of doing Smash like this, just neglecting a huge percentage of the audience. I'm also doing that by making the characters geeks. Here, Lily's talking about the Big Lebowski, and Lily at this point is sort of the voice of me. I'm one of those people that just goes on about films and stuff, and if you haven't seen something, I'm like, oh my god, you have to go watch that. I think I said that in the last video about Scott Pilgrim. And I'm assuming it must be really boring for everyone else for me to be like, oh, you haven't seen The Big Lebowski, it's really good, you should go watch it. And they're like, I can't watch every single film that you tell me to watch, because then I just won't have any time for anything else. That's the problem. See, I spend all my free time on watching films, so there you go. That's why I don't have a social life. I think the problem with that whole idea of taking a long time to build up characters and relationships and everything is that it works for a film. You're sitting down watching it start to finish, it works. You're slowly being drip-fed information, getting to know characters and stuff. But even though there is important information in this episode, and I think it would be a shame if you missed it, skip the episode or something, it does end up having this sort of filler feel, because not too much actually plot-centric happens, other than them arriving at the house. Even though I think, like, a lot is revealed about the characters, the plot isn't advanced too much, which is why it's got this nasty filler feel. Which is a shame, but that's alright, because next episode, episode 4, which you should have already seen, is my favourite of all so far, and it's just sort of character stuff. But I love that one. I think it's fantastic. It's got some of the best performances in the film. Hopefully what you should sort of be getting from the Brandon and Lily interaction is that they'd actually be a really good fit. They have similar interests and they're both kind of geeky, whereas with Peg, you cut back and forth between Brandon and Lily and Brandon and Peg to sort of just emphasise the fact that Brandon and Peg isn't a particularly healthy relationship. The scene in the car when they're leaving to go to the party, it's just another example of Brandon sort of not knowing where he stands. And I think there needs to be a sort of equality for a relationship to sort of mesh. And so hopefully you should be like, ooh, Brandon and Lily, that works. But then, as you see, towards the end of episode 4, which you probably should have seen by now, no, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Bad things. Hopefully there should be a sort of aww moment in response to that. Oh, I'm really sad about this scene in the bathroom. I don't know if you're there yet with all the editing that's going on. The scene between Brandon and Peg in the bathroom. It's a really sad one for me, because originally, trying not to give too much away, the song that she mentions is important. Alex Day, Forever Yours. But originally it was Run by Snow Patrol. And as I was just making a straight film, I wasn't making a YouTube series, I didn't worry so much about using copyrighted music. But as Alex Day has said that anyone can use his music, I sort of went back to that. Because it's a nice song and it works, but I just wish we could have used Run by Snow Patrol. It works a lot better. So yeah, I'm sorry I've been quite rambly, even more rambly than the last one, but don't worry, I will make it up to you. And how will I make it up to you? By showing you this exclusive clip from episode 5 of Smashed. Very exciting, only 2 weeks left till it's up, and it's the one episode, oh my god, where everything kicks off and it properly goes all horror. How exciting is it? I'm excited, you are excited, I can tell you're excited, because if you had, like, the nerve to click on a commentary video, then you must be easily excitable. So there you go, enjoy that. I'll see you next week for some form of video or other. Stay geeky, mama, bye!
Did she tell you she likes you?
No. Why, did she say something to you?
No, she doesn't have to. It's blatant. God, I can't believe it took you so long to realise. You're so fucking dense, you know that? God, she must have a brain hemorrhage.
Can you just try and take 2 minutes in your life and not be a bitch, okay?
Don't talk about my fucking friend like that! You prick!
Lily.